Welcome, everybody, to a very special Project Next morning episode. We are talking to a parent, Kacie, whose 7-year-old was left behind at a church from a LifeWise curriculum Bible school. She was left alone and she had to walk blocks back. She tried to walk by herself to the school. 3 adults stopped her that she didn't trust, so she just ignored them and wouldn't answer them. And a fourth one that looked very safe and was safe, he drove her to the school and made sure she got back. And he had a car seat in his back and he had scrubs on, and he was using the right words, so she felt like she could trust him. This is a parent's worst nightmare. My twins are 7. I cannot imagine them walking blocks by themselves through traffic to get home. And then what happened afterwards? Did LifeWise say, "We're so sorry"? No, they victim blamed. They act like it's the 7-year-old's fault. And then they send out emails with conflicting information about what actually happened. And I'm just so thankful that Kacie is here to tell her story, what happened to her and her daughter, what happened afterwards. Oh, I have Zachary Parrish. It's the third time I get to do a show with him. He is the co-founder of Secular Education Association. Secular, did I say it right?
Yep.
And so
No,
we're
it's a
going to get
mouthful.
right down to this story. Parents' worst nightmare. So thankful, Kacie, that your 7-year-old is safe. Hopefully she's not too traumatized. Hopefully she feels better about the community since a nice person did help her. But let's get to this story. Kacie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
And Zach, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good. Just, glad to get this story out there so people understand what we've been trying to warn them about.
So, Kacie, explain to me how is this a second grader, how your 7-year-old second grader became involved with LifeWise Bible School?
Well, they started last year about halfway through the school. They started
So
popping up
first
all over
grade, halfway
town.
through first grade, okay?
Yes. And she wanted to do it, and I wasn't hesitant at all because she has a lot of anxiety around new places, and she was so excited about it, and it was finally something, she was going to do out of her norm, and we just signed her up. Didn't think
So
nothing
did
of
you
it.
get a piece of paper? How did you find out about LifeWise? How did you sign up for it? I'm just
The
curious.
school sent home papers last year. And then
The
this year,
schools
right before school started, you had to sign them up again. And they were at every single church event, every local event.
So you had been seeing them around your town, and you're in where are you from?
Decatur,
In
Indiana.
Decatur, Indiana. And that's is that northern Indiana? Is that
Yeah,
in
it's about
okay.
30 minutes south of Fort Wayne.
Okay. So you had seen LifeWise, all the things you had seen about it looked favorable and promising and safe and warm and, Jesus is your friend type thing.
Right. She was so excited to go and learn about God. And if that's what she wanted, that's what we were going to do.
I heard that from Zachary that LifeWise sets up their programs to be very fun. You get little prizes, you get snacks, you get to be together with your friends. So she was listening to all this and trusting these adults that are telling her what it's going to be like. And she's telling you she wants to do it. Your daughter has anxiety, so you're really happy she wants to. So you sign her up. So she's been involved for about a year now.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any information about what she's been learning at LifeWise?
No, nothing.
I can second that because, again, I have 7-year-olds in first grade, and it's really hard for me to find out what they do in a day. They'll come home and I'll say, "How was your day?" "Great." "What happened?" "I don't know." And then I'll see their Facebook of their elementary school, and they're like going to a special show where they're touching that big metal ball thing and their hair's standing straight up, and they didn't tell me. So that makes sense. So you didn't know that, like, she's learning about dinosaurs on the ark, and that people that are in the pride community are sinning, or single moms are sinning. You didn't know that that was in the curriculum. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
not at all.
Would you
No,
have
I
been
didn't
alarmed
find the curriculum anywhere.
did you know that Zach got sued for posting the curriculum online by LifeWise?
Yeah, I learned that here the last couple of days once I
Yeah.
learned about all the craziness of
So
LifeWise.
they do a lot to hide what your 7-year-old has been taught for this past year. They do a lot to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that Does that make you a little upset as a parent who's trusted, not even the whole she had to walk home by herself, but just knowing you didn't know what was being taught?
Yeah, it does. Because with school, you get the curriculum, you can see the curriculum, you know exactly what is going on. And then to find out that LifeWise doesn't do that, so you have no idea. And she's 7; she's not going to tell me how her day is other than what she did at recess.
It doesn't change much at 15. I got a 15-year-old too. It's really hard to get stuff. Sometimes I have to bribe them. Okay, tell me 10 things that happened at school today. It's like, yeah. So, okay. So you've been doing this about a year. Seemed to be going okay. You didn't know what the lessons were, but you thought it was fine because, again, LifeWise has painted this really sweet, friendly, fluffy atmosphere around your community. And then this was last Wednesday. So it
Yes.
hasn't even been a week. 6 days ago, what happened to your daughter?
She was left behind. They
Now, do they walk to a church?
there are 2 buses that they use to transport from the school to the church.
Okay. Are they school buses? What buses are they?
They're like 15 passenger vans.
Like a church van or something?
Yeah, they're actually
Okay.
LifeWise vans. They have like the LifeWise logo painted on the side.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
2 LifeWise vans pick up. Is this just second grade at this time?
Yeah,
And
it's just second grade at that time, and it's
okay.
maybe 15 students.
Okay. So they're going for and how long do the classes last?
About an hour.
And they're once a week?
Once a week. She goes
Okay.
she did go every Wednesday right after lunch.
I'm really happy to hear did go. Past
Yeah.
tense there. Yeah.
She is not going again.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was my question. What classes is she missing? You said she goes after lunch. Is she being pulled out of gym or art, or what's the
I think
schedule like?
I know it's one of like the they call specials. I don't know which one though that she's
but it would be
missing.
the same special every week that she's
Yeah.
missing.
So it's either
Yeah.
gym, art, music, library, one of those she misses every week.
Yeah. Okay, so she gets in the van. She asks, I read the statement that you all put out. She asks to use the restroom. She lets like 2 people know she's going to go use the restroom. Is this right?
Yeah.
She uses the restroom, and then what happened?
They left her. She came out of the bathroom and nobody was there.
And so the church is empty?
The church is empty. She walked around. The church is 2 separate buildings, and they are in a different building where there's not like a church office or anything, but the LifeWise staff office is there. And so she went in there in the hopes to find somebody. No one was there. She came back out, walked around the whole LifeWise area. No one was there. And that's when she made the decision to try to walk back to school.
So what time of the day was this?
It was around noon.
Okay.
I don't
so it's
know for
around
sure because
lunchtime.
no one will give me timestamps.
Okay. So then she decides, and it's several blocks from the
It's 5 or
church.
6.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's 5 or 6 blocks. She's 7. She decides, since she couldn't find anybody, to walk back to school. She starts walking. What happens?
She was encountered 3 people stopped to help her. She ignored them. She kept walking. She didn't feel safe. And then she doesn't have a coat on at this point because she asked a friend to have her coat. It's
Oh, it was pretty cold last week.
snowing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's icy outside because we got a bunch of snow the week before. And finally, this 4th person stops, and he was in a black car, and he had scrubs on with a nurse name tag for our local hospital. And he had a car seat in the back, and he drank Mountain Dew like her dad. So she's like, this guy must be a dad. He must be safe. I can trust him. And he originally was like, I'll drive you back to school. And she told him, no, I am not getting in your car. And so he got out and walked her back because she knew not to get in a stranger's car.
Shout out to
that was probably the key factor in what made her trust him, if I had to guess. The fact that
Right.
he was willing to walk with her instead of just giving her a ride. That had to be
Yeah, I think that was smart. I wouldn't want my kid to get in a stranger's car, but to
Right.
walk. That was smart of her, and that was really nice of that man to stop what he was doing and to turn off his car and just leave it and walk her to the school.
Yep.
Shout out to this Good Samaritan. Thank you so
He was
much.
coming off a 16-hour shift at the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And he told me, well, his wife told me, because she's the one that found me through the power of social media, that he knew he had to stop and do something because he didn't want to think about it being his kid.
So thank you to that man, that family. Wow. Okay, so she gets taken back to school. She does the rest of school. How do you find out that this happened?
I don't find out for a good chunk of time. Enough time to where all of what we just talked about happened. She has talked to a principal, she has talked to the guidance counselor, and she is already back in class before anybody calls me.
Yeah,
This
so
is a big deal. I'm a former teacher. Every once in a while, a kid will run away from school, and it is a big deal if there is a kid missing from your building. It is huge. And there is you're making a tremendous deal about how did this happen? How do we not do this again? What do we need to change our procedures? I mean, this is huge. And we're immediately letting the parent know at the former school that I taught at.
When did the school find out? I mean, that would be my question. When did the school and the LifeWise authorities figure out that your child was missing?
They all went to check in at the office, and a student said, "Where is my daughter?" And that was when they realized that she was gone. The LifeWise program director who was doing the class that day sent a volunteer to go find her, and the volunteer complained about having to go find her, that she didn't get paid for it.
So it wasn't even the responsible adults that figured this out. It was another child who raised the issue. Yep. That is terrifying.
It was my daughter's best friend, because my daughter's best friend was also holding my daughter's coat. She asked her to hold it while she went to the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah, this is very upsetting.
As a former teacher, like you're saying, this should have been a big deal immediately. Did they call the cops? Did the school report it to anybody, a school resource officer?
Nope.
See, that's culpability there. That is a problem. I know
we don't the principal
school for this, but they have a responsibility to immediately report this.
And I just want everybody to realize these people that are teaching the LifeWise classes are not people that get vetted by the school. If I were going to go and volunteer at my kid's school, I'd have to go through a system of background checks to make sure that I was a safe person. LifeWise does the system. LifeWise is checking who can be teaching these classes. And it sounds like these volunteers are not very empathetic, or haven't been taught about a class roster and counting. When I'm going on field trips, I've done many field trips with kids. I'm counting all the time. Buddy system. Is anybody missing their buddy? Let's count again. Constant checks and balances of making sure that all of your kids are accounted for. This did not happen. And it's just basic, one-on-one. What do you do when you transport kids from one place to another?
Right. She told me when they called that they must have messed up head count.
It's unacceptable. It's just there's no other word for it. It's just unacceptable. Like Sarah was saying, this is such basic stuff. I've done many chaperones to field trips myself. I watch. They count the kids as they are getting on the bus. They name the kids off once they're on the bus, and they do a final count before that bus leaves every time. This is basic stuff.
So your kid comes home from school. How's the first time you're made aware of this?
From what actually happened, or from LifeWise in the school?
Yeah. So just take us through the timeline, what you were told. And let's just go through this event of this day.
Okay. So about 1:00 is when I get the phone call. I didn't recognize the number, so I didn't answer it at first. And about 2 minutes later, I got a phone call from the school that I recognized, but I was changing a diaper, so I didn't answer it. And then I listened to both of the voicemails. The voicemail from the principal was telling me that it was a LifeWise issue, and she had told LifeWise to reach out to me. The only thing that she told me that there was an incident that happened with Belle, or my daughter. And then I listened to the LifeWise voicemail, and she's telling me that there is an incident that happened and that I need to call her back. And so I call her back, and she tells me that she got left behind. They immediately recognized that she was gone and went back to get her and brought her back to school.
Oh, wow. So
And
they acted like they brought her back.
Mhm.
LifeWise acted like LifeWise brought her back when actually that Good Samaritan man in the car stopped his car and walked her back.
yes,
Okay. That's pretty terrible that they just flat out lied.
right. And so at first I was like, okay, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I need time to process what is going on, or I'm going to be very mean to you. And I didn't want to be mean. That's just not who
You're
I am.
immediately concerned as a parent about your child, your small child. Yes, yes.
So then I called the principal back because I wanted to know how my daughter was doing. And she told me that she had spoke to her, the guidance counselor spoke to her, and she's back in class and she wants to stay at school. And I was like, great, okay. School gets out in an hour because it's an early release day. She wants to be there. I'll let her be there. I'm like third in line for school pickup because I want to hug her.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pull her out when she wanted to be there. And the first thing she told me is she goes, "Did you hear what happened?" I was like, "Yeah, I heard what happened. How are you doing? Do you need a hug? What do you need from me?" She goes, "I met a guy." And I said, "Okay." And then she said, "He walked me back to school." I was like, "Wait a second. We need to backtrack. You need to tell me what happened."
Now you're realizing the statement you got from LifeWise was not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
What happened from your daughter? Okay. That
Yep.
would be very alarming to me. What actually happened while she was missing?
Mm-hmm. And she told me how she looked around the whole building and made the decision to walk back. And then those 3 people that she encountered, she told me she just ignored them. It didn't feel right. And so she just kept walking. She walked faster. They just left her alone, which frustrates me. Like, why did no one call the police when you saw a 7-year-old walking on the side of the road in the rain/snow with no winter coat on? And of course, that day she wanted to wear a long dress, so she's freezing.
No.
And then finally she told me that a 4th guy stopped, and she told me what he looked like and that he was drinking Mountain Dew and had a car seat, and his nurse name tag from the hospital here made her feel safe. And that's when he got out of his car and he walked her back to school.
Oh, gosh. So let's take it through. So now you're finding out that LifeWise lied to you about what happened. What happens next?
I was so frustrated. I waited a little bit because I needed to calm down. And then honestly, I called my mom. I was like, I need advice on what to do. They've lied to me. I don't know what to do. I was like, I know I want to try to find this man because that like solidifies the story. Like, I know 7-year-olds can make things up.
That was smart. Yeah.
It was a full rundown of what this man looked like. Like, I knew she was telling the truth. So I went to social media to try to find this guy.
Did you make a video? Did you write it out? What did you do?
I wrote it out about what happened to her, just a little bit, not the whole story, because it wasn't originally to bash LifeWise. It was, I want to find this guy and tell him thank you, because I was still trying to process everything that just happened with LifeWise.
Well, you've been lied to about LifeWise, like the majority of us are. The majority of parents have been lied to about what LifeWise is. So you're assuming LifeWise is safe and wonderful, and you're seeing real time. No, it's not. It makes sense that you just don't jump like that. It's going to take you a little while to figure out the propaganda. It always takes a little while to unpack the lies, you know?
Yeah. I was shocked. I needed a little bit of time to process. I waited until the next morning, and that's when I started emailing LifeWise.
And were they like, "We're so sorry we messed up. This will never happen again"? What were they?
They told me that they were sorry, but no one took accountability for lying about it. No one still to this day is taking accountability for lying to me that they went back and got her. I did push for clarification of what actually happened, and they did release that a man walked her back to school, but not the fact that they have lied to me. They have lied to everybody else. They blamed my daughter in the process, that she went to the bathroom and we didn't think she was there, so we left.
Like it's her fault. That part really makes me mad.
Yeah, that was the most upsetting part of their response to me too, to put this onus on a 7-year-old. I don't care if she did quote slip out of the line like they said,
It's
and
you're as an
we have
adult,
the
you're
emails. I
responsible.
mean, I don't know if you can pull them up, Sarah, but we have the emails where they're saying this, and even if she did quote slip out of line, you are the responsible adult in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we want to share a more complete picture of what occurred when the student was unintentionally left behind at the LifeWise facility. Our team immediately recognized the issue and sent volunteers back to the church to pick her up. During that window of time, the student started to make her way back to the school. An adult saw her walking by herself and helped her walk safely back to the school building. We regret any confusion that may have caused. So this is the second one. Do we have the first one? Did I get the first one where? Let's see. I
Yep.
might not have the first one with
This
the
is the first
line.
one. Yeah.
This is the first one. Okay, so
Yep.
here's the first email. That was the second one. We are willing to inform you of an incident that occurred after a recent LifeWise class in which a student was unintentionally left at the LifeWise facility for a short period of time. The student went into the bathroom after we had already done our head count. The student was quickly and safely returned to school. We are deeply grateful that the student remained safe, yet we recognize that this should not have happened, and we take this matter with the utmost seriousness. And then they start saying all the things they do for safety, right?
Right. These are
So,
policy changes. That's important to
okay.
understand. These are the bare minimum things you and I were talking about that we do on field trips. And these are the new policy changes that they're implementing because this happened. This should have been happening from the start.
Right. Yes, this should have been happening from the start. You know what? I really, I just cannot believe this happened. And also, they're underestimating Kacie. They're underestimating Kacie because they're thinking she is this passive woman, like they're teaching at LifeWise. Kacie, I don't know whether you know the full curriculum since it's so hard to see, but they're teaching girls to be passive, to get married and have children and not work. I don't know whether how they feel about voting. They're very don't be your own strong independent woman. So they really underestimated you. When this happened, they kind of just assumed that they could gaslight you, Kacie, and make it be like, well, it was your daughter's fault. And then you be like full of shame and guilt, which is a big part of this teaching, shame and guilt girls to make them be meek and quiet. But they didn't know that you're a strong, independent, smart woman who loves your children, and
Yeah, it's
you went
full
out on your
blown.
own.
Right, it's full blown mama bear at this point.
And you're
You hurt
incredibly
my
brave for
child.
doing it. Like, I just want to reiterate how brave you are for speaking out about this. As somebody who has faced them before and know the pushback you are going to receive from this, I just want you
Yep.
to know how brave you are for speaking out about it.
I second that. You're very brave and amazing. And Zach, I think that's something I realized while we're talking. That is one of their weaknesses that we can use to fight them. They underestimate us. They underestimated this parent right here. They thought she was just going to quietly move on. And you got on social media and found the man and his wife who helped rescue your daughter. So now you have this other piece of information to prove that this 7-year-old's not lying, because I bet LifeWise would have tried that too. I could see them acting
Yeah.
like, well, you can't trust a 7-year-old. No, we've got the adult. We found the adult that helped. I just think that is a piece we all use when we're trying to fight LifeWise and shine a light on their behavior, that they underestimate parents.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you do seem exceptionally amazing, by the way, like Zach is saying. You do seem very brave in coming out. Not all parents would come out and say the truth because they would be scared by the backlash. So I would like to just, if I could, I'd give you a big hug and tell you how proud I am of you for doing
It's
this.
the, it's the least I could do for my daughter. She deserves to have someone stand up for her.
So after you're processing that LifeWise is lying, that they're not as safe as they seem, and then you meet Zach and you kind of learn more about the truth of LifeWise and the curriculum, and that they sued Zach because he posted the curriculum. Now that you're seeing the truth, do you want your daughter to continue this LifeWise education every Wednesday?
No.
And what made you decide to pull out? What is your own personal reason as a parent?
Originally, it was safety. I couldn't put sent her in good faith that she was going to be okay and be returned back to school, because obviously they have proved that that is an issue. And then once I started learning all of these other things about what they teach, it was a no-brainer. And she doesn't want to go back either. She told me it was fun, but I'm scared now and I don't want to go back.
That's a big one. The kid doesn't want to come back. Your
Yeah.
child is like, it's not a safe place. She is smart enough to know that is not a safe place for me. I can just tell how amazing you are. You're teaching your 7-year-old daughter those things, like that she is in control of her own body, what consent is, which you teach to little kids. You teach, no, you don't have to hug this adult if you don't want to, like those type of things. It seems like you're just naturally teaching her the right way to be her own person, and that helped her in this situation immensely. So good on you. But I want to point out, this is Christian nationalism type education, kind of indoctrinating small children, and they don't want our girls to have that have our own sense of body. I just want to point that out. They want men to be in charge of their upbringing. They want their dads or their brothers or their who they marry to be in charge, and it's really hard to teach to, like, me, for me to understand it. I'm a pretty strong, independent leader type woman, to recognize that they're not teaching our girls to be that way. And that's important when you get that paper to sign your kid up for LifeWise. It looks fun. Your kid wants to be with all their friends. Understand this is a different type of Christian teaching than than this 2025 Taylor Swift type world we're living in now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So aside from your kid not wanting to go, how else did it affect her? Because like I said, I can't imagine at 7. I can't imagine this happening to my 12-year-old, much less at 7. So how has your child been affected by this?
She's been having nightmares. I think that's what's affected her the most. She keeps waking me up in the middle of the night, terrified that everybody has left her. She has been more clingy. She follows me everywhere. And normally she's her little independent self when she's at home. And now every time I turn around, she's right there.
oh, can you, my recommendation, and this might work and this might not, but I would recommend you praising her that she did the right thing. She handled this situation. So it kind of shows her you don't need to be scared because you did it. You,
Yep.
as a 7-year-old, imagine when you're 15 or 20, how well you're going to handle situations, because you're doing a great job parenting her. Kacie, you're teaching her the things that she needs to know, and she's listening and picking it up and doing it. So it makes sense that she's scared, but if you can kind of empower her and say, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. You know how to get yourself out of scary situations. And guess what? We're all going to have more scary situations as we get older, and we don't want to think about those. But knowing that she can handle it maybe will take away some of that fear.
Yeah, we've been doing that. I've been telling her how proud I am of her, and that she was so worried that she did things wrong by going into the staff office that says staff only, and by talking to a stranger. And she was so worried. I was like, you did nothing wrong that day. You did everything to the best of your ability, and how proud I am of her for not just jumping to the first person that offered to help. She waited until she felt safe. And that, I keep telling her all the time how big that is.
Yeah, what a big girl. Yeah. And that's another thing LifeWise curriculum would try to do, is make you be a rule follower. Yeah. Rules are very important to LifeWise curriculum. And so that makes sense that after a year of LifeWise education, Kacie or your daughter is, oh no, I'm not following the rules. You'll probably have to spend a little bit of time letting her know why we have rules and when it's okay to break them. I think that's a good point of, like, Harry Potter, the books Harry Potter kind of shows kids, you don't always have to follow the rules. What's right in that situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this situation is kind of mind-blowing to me, because it really shows how you're teaching your daughter as opposed to how LifeWise is teaching these children. And you can see one of these is indoctrinating everybody follow the same way, and one of these is she's her own independent person, and it's different. Yeah. Okay. Zachary, what should we do next? Should I pull up something else and read it? What should
Well,
I do?
I think, yeah, we want to talk about the damage control that's happening, not just in
Yes.
her local program, but apparently this has kind of spread and taken off. They seem to be doing damage control all over the place because of this story already. And as far as I'm concerned, this story has barely broke yet. There needs to be so much more coverage on this.
Yep.
We need the mainstream media covering it because
Yep.
there are so many different angles here. There is the negligence of LifeWise, but like I said earlier, there is also the negligence of the school for not filing a police report, which is something I recommended Kacie to do. How did that work out for you, Kacie? How have you been able to file a police report yet?
No, I spoke on Saturday with a sheriff, and he told me that there were no legal things that they could pursue, and that he could take notes on the phone call, and that I could call back Monday and speak with a day shift officer, and maybe they would want to pursue something. And I called yesterday morning. I spoke with one of the dispatch ladies. She told me that an officer would call me back. It would be an unknown number and to answer it. And I still haven't gotten a phone call.
And this speaks to two much bigger problems. One of the problems is the entanglement with the sheriff's department, which you might not know about. Sarah, if you can pull that picture up. It's interesting that the sheriff's department you called actually helped sponsor and fundraise for LifeWise. So there's a huge conflict of interest there right off the bat. The other bigger problem is, where is the oversight for all of this, right? If the sheriff's department isn't willing to pursue charges, who is? Who is going to hold LifeWise accountable for this? Is it the attorney general? Is it the state superintendent's office? Again, this is separated from the school. So where is the oversight? Who is going to hold them responsible for this? They're just being left to their own devices to clean this up by themselves with zero oversight, zero authority over them. And that is one of the biggest problems that we've been trying to speak to as an organization, right? There
So
is
this
nobody to
post,
hold them accountable.
so this Facebook, was this a Facebook post? Lights
Mhm.
for LifeWise? Is that a local LifeWise chapter?
It's a local fundraiser.
So this is a fundraiser for LifeWise?
Yeah.
Okay. And this looks like it wasn't very long ago, December 4th.
Yep.
And here's tree sponsors. So we got churches, businesses, and then Adams County Sheriff is one of the sponsors. Now, I'm not blaming any of these sponsors, you all. This is something we need to realize. They're selling, LifeWise is selling a picture of this amazing program that's going to help children. And so I get why you initially get duped by them. One of my friends just Facebook messaged me saying, Sarah, I don't understand why you're going after LifeWise. A LifeWise representative came to our church last Sunday and they sounded wonderful. And I said, please, I sent him the episode. I said, please listen to this whole episode about LifeWise. I think it will help you understand that what they're saying and the truth is not the same. And it's okay. All these people that I'm putting up here, I'm not trying to go after them at all. I'm trying to say, guess what? You were tricked like the majority of us are being tricked by LifeWise. What's important is to say, whoops, we didn't know what LifeWise really was. Now we do. Now we're coming out and we're not going to sponsor them again. We're not going to let them come to our church festival or be in our local parade. We're not going to let them come and speak at the Sunday sermon. That's what we need to have happen here. We need to go, whoopsie, they tricked us. And that's kind of hard in our culture sometimes. We're taught not to admit our mistakes. I don't even think it's a mistake. It's just human nature. We just kind of need to realize they told us something, we believed them, and now we realize it's not true.
I would push back on that a little bit if I'm being honest. I think
Go for it.
that as a business, and even more so as a church and a pastor, you have a responsibility to know who you are loaning your name and support to. I think you should
I
be
get
doing
both
a little
sides
more
of it,
research.
Zach. I
Sure,
get
so
both
do I.
sides of it because there's so much fear right now in the world, and LifeWise really looks like a savior to that fear. It
Sure.
really looks like this program's going to come in and make your kids' life safer. It's going to make the country safer. It's going to do these good things. And you're scared and you're like, oh, good, I can give money to this and not fear for the future. And that is how authoritarian governments happen. because they come in, the strong man comes in and says, I can save you, and you're scared and you believe them. So I just want to say I have more empathy for it because I see so many of my friends scared and wanting a quick and easy solution, and this LifeWise looks like that, and actually it's more of a problem.
Yeah. Yep. It doesn't
Yeah.
just look like that. They're selling it as that too. I mean, to your point, they are selling it as the solution to all of these problems. Yeah.
And that's always a really good indicator that that's not true. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. If somebody's saying I can solve all of your problems, that's when we as humans need to learn alarm bells. Nobody can solve all of my problems. Women, Kacie, you might identify with this. Women, when a man comes in, I'll take care of you, baby. Don't you worry. I'll pay for this. I'll give you this. You want a new shirt? I'll take you out. And usually it ends up that person's controlling. You know what I mean? They
Yep.
do that. They do that initial, what is it, love bombing?
Yeah.
This seems LifeWise is good at love bombing our communities. They act like they're coming in and they're so amazing. And then you slowly realize when you're entangled with them, oh no, this isn't what I was promised. So if we look at it maybe through the lens of that, I just want I want there to be a empathy to it. I want there to be an open dialogue, Zach, with like my friend that said somebody came from LifeWise and they seemed nice. Empathy, okay, we get it, but here's the truth,
Absolutely.
and then kind of teaching those that were initially tricked how to get out of it.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Make a statement. All those people that are on that list that we just showed that donated to LifeWise, great. This is a great day to make a post and say, well, we know a little bit more about LifeWise now, and we won't be donating to them next time. And we're, whoops, or just quietly backing out. If you're too scared to do that, just back out. But the police should be aware.
And back to the sheriff's department themselves. I understand they may not think there are charges worth pursuing here. That's not what Kacie was asking for. Kacie is asking them to file a police report. Those are two very different things, and there is no reason that she should be being blown off the way that she is. So I think it's really vital that, Kacie, you need to go to the state police department, talk to them about it, because that's where this should have been reported to from the school to begin with. I was doing some research last night. The school should have reported this to the state police immediately. So I think you need to just go around the sheriff's department and go to the state police and get a police report, get this on paper, have them talk to LifeWise. What have you done to make sure this won't happen again? Is this volunteer that complained about going back still working for you? These are serious questions that need to be answered, and they're not going to answer you or me. Hopefully they will answer the police, though.
Right. So I told him, I was like, I'm not necessarily interested in you trying to pursue charges. If that's something that I want to do
right
in the future, I will do that. I want timestamps. I want to know how long she was gone. I want to know why the cops weren't called. I want answers to these questions that LifeWise won't give me.
So the police report would help you understand what happened to your child while she was alone in a building 5 or 6 blocks away from the school.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, that totally tracks. You should be able to get that. Hopefully, some good police officers will step up and do their job and do this and do the police report. Your life is going to be a little bit different for the next few weeks, I would imagine, Kacie. Hopefully, some press is going to contact you and ask you. We were talking Sunday? No, yeah, Sunday. Zach connected us and we got you on quickly. So good job for that. I hope that you're asked to do more things like this to get the story out, because I'm guessing this is not going to be the last time something like this happens. Zach,
it might not even be the first time. I mean, that's the other part of this too. Thankfully, you spoke up because you wanted to reach out and find this adult. For all we know, this could have happened in any other place, at any other location, and they just said, oh, thank God my child is fine. No need to make a big deal about this. We would never know that. We only found this because of your social media post.
Yeah. That's what I think about how many parents might have been too afraid to speak out due to backlash. who were just like, my kid's safe. That's all that matters. Just let it go. And that's just not me. I'm
Well,
not that
they're
person.
underestimating what women are like, what mama bears are like.
Mhm.
You know, they're underestimating us a lot. Our children have to, our 7-year-olds are walking home in the cold without a jacket in the streets with cars, and you think we're just gonna, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is this other picture, Zach, that I had? I'm gonna pull up. Oh,
Yeah, I just found that interesting. Somebody sent that to me this morning. This is a LifeWise program in Ohio, so a whole other state than where this incident happened, from 2 hours away, and they're already doing damage control at this program. So, like, it just makes me wonder: did some message come down from corporate to all of the directors, like saying this, telling people to do this damage control? It's also interesting that they have the facts wrong, saying that they got a ride home, which isn't what happened, as Kacie explained. The stranger walked them back.
well,
So
we
it just
cannot guarantee, but will probably not happen again.
that. If you
So
can't
they're doing
guarantee the
damage
children's
control.
safety, you have no business taking them out of school. Full stop.
It sounds like now, Kacie, they aren't taking you for granted. Now they're realizing, oh, she knows how to use the power of social media. She's getting this story out. We better send out a statement to all the LifeWise, which there's over 1,000, right? Over 1,000 schools have LifeWise now in
Yep.
America. So they're sending all this message out to let everybody know, don't worry. Every once in a while, little things happen, but this is safe. That shows you how powerful they are at changing the narrative to meet their version of everything's fine. Don't look at us, everything's fine. Don't ask us what we're teaching your children. Like, I mean, did you know that they teach that single moms are sinning? Did you know that, Kacie?
No, I didn't.
Isn't that upsetting to hear? I was a single mom for a little while.
Yeah.
And we were poor and struggling. And apparently that was my fault. Apparently I'm sinning.
I didn't realize that they teach too that if you're not a Christian, you're a bad person.
And they teach a lot about hell. They scare kids about hell. That if they don't get their kids, their friends in the class in LifeWise 2, they might die and go to hell. That is something that I think is horrifying. It's a very evangelical type of Christianity. Not all Christian religions teach that. So I think that that's a really scary boogeyman way to get these kids to follow the rules because they want to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think your story is important aside from this huge issue of safety, which obviously is the main thing here. But I think your story also really shows how easy it is for this wool to get pulled over parents' eyes, because what parent wants to tell their 7-year-old no when they come home excited wanting to do this? I asked you before we came on air if you regularly went to this church they host LifeWise at, and you said no. It really goes to show that not everybody involved with this program is fully on board with the doctrine or even aware of the doctrine, that they're just trying to have their kids have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes complete sense. You're going to blindly trust the school that this is a safe thing for your kids to go to. Did you know our schools are not allowed in Indiana to say no to this? The school boards can't say no. They have to do it. So until we get laws changed, schools cannot say no to LifeWise. And then schools have no choice over the adults teaching this class. So
I had wondered that because when I had spoke with the day it happened, my daughter's teacher and guidance counselor had reached out to me that evening and was asking how she was doing. And they told me that they couldn't say anything good or bad about LifeWise, that they weren't allowed to talk about it, but they understood my daughter's fear of not wanting to go back. And I was like,
you're not asking them to give opinions on the program. And that's the other thing. This story needs to be a catalyst for change, because if something like this happens, the school should absolutely be able to say, we're not releasing these kids to you anymore because you can't be responsible with them. This needs to be a catalyst to change these laws.
This should be reason why your child's school should be able to say, no more. This is done. You cannot take our children off campus and leave them. and then victim blame them like it's the 7-year-old's fault. No, this needs to stop. You're totally right, Zach.
Yeah.
This needs to be a catalyst for change. We need to stop this now. Our state government in Indiana is about ready to go back to session. It's Zach, do you know, could they make a law in Indiana that would change this? What could they do?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. I think we all know that, right? It's a matter of whether or not they want to. They could
Well, what would
absolutely
be the
change
best
this.
thing? I'm asking because I will be interviewing people that go to the State House on Project Next. What could I say? We should push. That's something you have to do. You have to push the legislation you want to have happen, the rules. What would be something they could change to make it better?
I don't think we're going to get a rollback on the mandate from the schools, but I think that there should be some sort of option for accountability. Like I said earlier, there is no oversight for these programs. Nobody is holding them accountable, not the schools. The schools can't do it. There's nobody at the state level. It should be the attorney general, if anybody, but he's not, right? So there should be oversight for these programs. That's one aspect of this. The other aspect is schools should be able to have specific rules and guidelines, and if these programs don't follow them, they should be able to cut them off or not allow them.
Could school boards do that? Could individual school boards make laws in Indiana that say, if you leave a child behind, we are done with this program? If this bad thing happens to a child, we are done with this program, and then they have to follow it?
Well, we'll see. There's not really precedent for that. Ohio, there are schools in Ohio who have put that type of thing in policy yet. It hasn't played out yet, though, right? And I'm sure as soon as it happens, LifeWise will bring First Liberty in and try to sue the school just like they did in Washington recently. We don't know. There's no precedent for it. There's no guidelines for it. This is something that is going to have to get played out and probably be in a court, played out in the legislators, and we're just going to have to see.
So this is why this is our fourth show on LifeWise, Kacie. This is the fourth time I'm talking about it on Project Next in just the last couple of months. We need to let everybody know. So Kacie, you're doing your part to let parents know what it's actually like to send your kids to LifeWise. And your kid has actually faced some trauma from this, which hopefully she will recover from, and hopefully she will use it as, oh, I am very strong and powerful, but still very scary. Right now, follow Zach and Molly at Secular Education Association. They're everywhere on social media. Follow them. Their website is incredible. They have a lot of what you can do to help fight LifeWise in your school system. They are coming. They're not in my school system yet in Harrison County, but they're in my neighboring one where I went to school. They're in Floyd County. They're really big at Greenville Elementary, and they're really doing some wild things, those kids, and they're expanding rapidly at Greenville Elementary. So if you think LifeWise is all wonderful, you need to, follow Secular Education Association, because it's not what you think, right, Kacie? You're a whole year of your kid getting this, and you had no idea what the curriculum was.
Correct. No idea.
Yeah, that's so important to realize, because you think you would be getting like, our kids learned this and this today, wouldn't you? Like,
and she never brought anything, no papers home. She would bring home a little toy every week, though. Ooh. Every week, a little toy.
Yep.
But never papers about what they're discussing. No, nothing.
You're probably gonna have to do a little bit of getting out the rules thing with her. I bet she's been hit hard about why you follow these rules.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she was smart enough to realize not to follow those rules and to go into that room where it says adults only, to look for an adult and stuff. Yeah. Man.
I can't imagine even have a sense of direction at 7 years old. That in and of itself, having the sense of direction to be going the right way at 7 years old is incredible.
I know. Same.
She crossed the road so many times. She told me she crossed the road 4 times because she couldn't figure out which way it was to go. And then she stopped and paused, and she crossed the road again, and then she started walking and realized she was going the wrong way. And so,
she didn't have the sense of direction. She was just walking.
It took her a minute. And then she finally saw the road that her best friend lives on. I was like, okay, I know if I go this way, that's where the school is at.
I think if we all collectively would shine a light on who's at fault here, LifeWise, and not name all the, well, you agreed, you let your kid go to LifeWise, or you sponsored him. We don't worry about that. Shine a light on what LifeWise is doing. Warn everyone. Get pastors and priests and school board members and principals and superintendents, churches. Don't let a LifeWise representative speak at your church. Like, that is the best we can do right now to protect our children. And then if you are a parent and you're the only kid, your kid's the only one not in LifeWise, start talking to the other parents and say, did you know they're learning dinosaurs are on the ark? Single moms are sinning, that they think they're going to hell if they don't follow all these rules. Teach them that. Talk to them at your functions. I bet we're all going to go to a Christmas program soon. I'm going to one on Friday. Talk to the parents there. Is there a LifeWise? If not, there might be one soon. So we can all do our part here. And Kacie, you're going above and beyond. You are rockstar mom. So you have my, yeah, I think you're awesome. And good job, Zach, for connecting us. We'll keep doing this. If there are more stories, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I have a scary LifeWise story, get a hold of Zach and come back on here. We'll tell you about it, because we're going to keep talking about LifeWise until our children are safe from them.
Yeah, please reach out to me. You can reach us at contact@seculareducationassociation.org. If you have any kind of story, experience, whether it's something this extreme or if your child has just been bullied, and I shouldn't say just been bullied, because that is a big deal too. It's what my daughter experienced and many other kids. Whatever it may be, reach out to us. We want to hear those stories. We want to amplify those stories so that people know and see what's actually going on.
Don't you imagine in like 10, 15 years, these kids are going to be on social media and be like, do you know what I was taught from LifeWise? And they're going to be like, this was bananas. Like, that's going to be our future soon. Just FYI, I'm calling it now.
You don't have to imagine it. I mean, we've lived it. We can see it now. There is religious trauma. It's a very real thing,
Yeah, I have some. I have it. I was really forced through my like youth pastor and stuffs. They were very concerned about whether I was a virgin or not. Like the amount, the hours and hours, the books, the teaching, the forceful, the scare the crap out of me. It was really interesting to unpack as an adult. So yeah.
So many people grow up and don't want to be associated with any religion.
Yeah, I think I understand why.
Yeah.
And there's great things to religion. I have a show with a pastor, Rich Genzero, comes on and talks, but he's a different type of pastor. He's not one where he's a rule follower, where everybody needs to be like him and everybody should do this. It's not about control. And so religions are different. We should look at each religion differently and feel free to judge them. This LifeWise religion, we need to be judgmental because it's teaching some really bad, scary stuff to our young children during public school time. It almost sounds fake. Like we're talking about this fake nightmare scenario, but it's real. Like this that happened to you is a parent's worst nightmare really happened for you last week.
Yeah.
And we can be so grateful that it turned out the way it did, but we also don't want to downplay how it could have turned out, right? LifeWise is putting these things out on their Facebook saying, oh, this is great. Thankfully, the child was returned safely. Absolutely. Thankfully, that happened. But what if it hadn't?
Yeah, she could have got lost. She could have been hit by a car. She could have been picked up by a predator.
There are two violent registered sex offenders who live across from the school, right where she was walking. It could have been way worse than what it was.
Yeah. Hopefully this makes her trust the community more, your daughter, because a lot of people reached out, but she was a little hesitant and she waited for the one that she felt safe with. And he did sound very particularly safe, So, I would imagine most people would do the right thing, but it so easily could have gone bad. Yeah. Could you tell us, Zach, before we get off, just a couple things that we know about, like, that are proven instances of LifeWise having like bad teachers? Do you have anything like that you could tell us real fast?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Renee Beck, who is, the main one that has been in the news. She was a teacher in Ohio who lost her teaching license because she was sexting a student. They hired her as a director. We've seen another director who was subpoenaed to court because she was paying off a pastor in her local church who had been transferred to a different church. So this director, Robin, was the LifeWise director, and she was also her church's secretary. Her pastor got transferred to another church to cover up his sex crimes, and she was still writing checks from the old church. So she got called in, subpoenaed to court to testify about that. You can say she didn't know what was going on. She was just writing the checks, maybe. But if she got subpoenaed to court, she had to have an idea. There's a reason they called her to court, right? And again, if you're the LifeWise director, if you're going to cover up for your pastor in that way, you would absolutely cover up for your teachers that way. And we saw that in the emails with Kacie, right? The report that she said the LifeWise volunteer was complaining about having to go find her child that they lost, that came from a parent who was in the office, correct?
Yeah, she was there to pick up her children, and she heard her saying that.
And LifeWise's immediate response was, well, that didn't happen. That's not what was said. Who do we believe more? LifeWise that has lied to you 2-3 times by now already, or this parent who was in the office and heard it?
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, you two. Kacie, good luck as you manage these next few weeks. Hopefully your story reaches national attention, because LifeWise is nationally going around to over 1,000 schools so far, and they're expanding nearly every day. Every day, more classes, more districts are having to open their school doors to them. And then, like you said, they're supposedly not allowed to say anything good or bad about LifeWise. That's terrifying.
It is. It's so terrifying.
I would be so mad if I were a public teacher in this school and LifeWise came and did this to my classroom and took the kids out, and I couldn't teach them. I couldn't protect them, because I loved every single one. I still love every single one of my former 5th graders. Taking them to people I didn't know to trust or not. I imagine your kid's teacher's upset.
Yeah.
I imagine your kid's teacher loves your child. This is very upsetting at the public school level. Just the lack of control that they have over what is happening during their school day when they're supposed to protect these kids and teach them these standards. It's bananas. Yeah. I'm sure you'll be on again, Zach. I still want to talk one day about your Mormon upbringing. That sounds like a really fascinating episode. I wonder if we could do it without a national thing happening with LifeWise,
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like there's something new every week, so we'll see. And just one more awful story, since you asked about other examples of safety. I think one of the worst ones is what happened up in DeKalb. They almost held class in a factory, a chemical paint dye factory, where they had sexually violent predators that worked there. They were going to take these kids out of school, take them to the office of this factory where they had these predators employed. The only reason it didn't happen is because we raised this issue and we stopped it from happening, and they changed locations before they got off the ground. But if we hadn't have raised that issue, they absolutely would have been taking these kids to a factory, which in and of itself is a huge safety concern. And then also where this violent predator was working.
If we don't shine a light on what they're doing, we don't stop it, and more bad things are going to happen. Kacie, feel free to text me. You have my number. If more things happen with your story, if something changes in like a month, say all of this stuff happened, feel free. We'd love to have you back on, and stay in touch with Zach. And just thank you so much for being so brave and such a strong mom, sticking up for your kid. I'm grateful your daughter has you after this scary thing happened. So thank you for being so amazing. Thank you for being willing to do this story on Project Next, giving us a chance. You're really amazing. Thank you. And Zach, cannot thank you enough for what you're doing. It's incredible. Thank you. And we're going to keep fighting this, and we're going to keep growing, right? Think how much bigger this has gotten since the first time I heard of LifeWise. We've got a lot more people supporting it. So supporting stopping it.
We're going to hold their feet to the fire if I got anything to do about it. I mean, I'm here to support Kacie and anybody else who is dealing with this. We are here to help. So
yeah, a lot of people have been putting in some good comments here. Pamela says the lack of accountability is so frightening and ridiculous. That is a big part of why we're trying to shine a light on here. Thank you for those of you that watched. Please send this episode to somebody that needs to know, a parent, school board member, pastor, priest, superintendent, principal, all of those people. Please send this to your local ones of so that they can be aware. If you attend a church, take a minute at the next Sunday service and go up to your pastor and say, have you heard of LifeWise? What do you think of them? And then you tell them the truth. So this is how we do this. All right. Have a fantastic day. Kacie with your little ones, and Zach, have a great day, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and happy holidays.